Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Hacks. Hey, y'all. Hey. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even Nepo babies trying to make it in Hollywood.
Woo.
We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Hacks. Season 3 of Max's award-winning dark comedy series.
That's right. And before we get into this episode, please make sure you're giving Sisters Who Watch 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, 5 stars, and download our episodes. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And follow us on our social media pages at Sisters Who Watch. We have merch on our website. Go to our shop tab, buy yourself some merch. And we have listener support via Spotify and Zelle. sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Thank you guys.
Yes, appreciate it. Let's dive in. Hack Season 3. So here's the logline for the show. Explores a dark mentorship that forms between Deborah Vance, a legendary Las Vegas comedian, and an entitled outcast 25-year-old. And this is a Max original, originally HBO Max, but as we all know, it's Max now, dropped the HBO. It was created in 2021 by Lucia Anello, Paul W. Downs, and Jen Statsky. And it's a hilarious cast led by the icon Jean Smart, who plays Deborah Vance. And then her counterpart, Hannah Einbinder, plays Ava. And I'd say that like the broader ensemble cast, like includes the breakout star Megan Stalter as Kayla, who we love. She's hilarious. Hack Season 3 was actually one of our most anticipated shows of the year.
Yes.
We were very excited for this one. Because of the strikes, we did not have Hacks last year. So it was a very long hiatus. We were ready for this one. It had been too long.
Yes. It had been since 2022, right? Until we got a new season.
Yes.
Almost very long time. What were you expecting, Shelby, from season 3? I know we both loved the first 2 seasons. Emmy Award winning, like long break. What were you excited about?
I was just excited to see what would happen post the cliffhanger of season 2. At the end of season 2, Jean Smart, Deborah Vance, basically fires Ava and is like, no, you need to go out on your own. Like, I'm not good for you. So Ava gets a job at, a like comedy show, like a late night show. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How are they going to work together? What will the dynamic be? Will they even interact with each other? But of course, it's a show about them together working. So the show finds a way to bring them back together in season 3. But I was just curious how they were going to explore that dynamic. And then, of course, because it's Emmy Award winning, Jean Smart has won Best Actress at the Emmys for it. It's won for directing and writing. I was just excited to see the talent bring it again because it is such a funny show. And I thoroughly enjoy it. We need more like comedies, like short shows that you can just like laugh, that are well written and you enjoy. And this is one of them. Today, I'm embracing Deborah Vance. I don't know if people see it, but
Ooh.
I am wearing very bold, shiny earrings and a shimmery outfit, just like Deborah.
That's it.
I look
Shelby.
like a Vegas comedian. I'm on stage.
Ha ha ha. Give her mic. Yes. Shelby is the Black Deborah Vance. LOL. I can't. So I agree. I had high expectations for season 3. Yeah, because the first 2 seasons are so funny. I like how it's woman-centered and it's kind of a dry sense of humor. And I do like how it's kind of, like boomers versus millennial, Gen Z. I like how Ava is the social justice warrior.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Who's always like, Deborah, you have to think about, your problematic jokes and you have to think about your carbon footprint and and all this stuff. And I remember one of my favorite moments, getting into our favorite moments, it was the guy from Scandal, Henry, oh my gosh, what's the president's name from Scandal?
Fitz? Laura, yes. You said Henry. I was like...
No, I was trying to think of the actor's name. Isn't the actor's name like Tony Goldwyn?
Tony Goldwyn?
Yeah. Tony Goldwyn, when he was like when Ava was complaining and he was like, on stolen land. And I just thought that was so funny. He was like, all of that on stolen land. And she was like, I know. So I just think that they do a really good job at poking at
So
like millennial Gen Z, like, you know, the different generations.
yeah, the wokeness for sure.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I guess it's a good segue to go into our favorite moments from season 3. Lack of wokeness in Deborah is hilarious, but you also got to see her own some of her past behavior and grow. Like when she's having the colonoscopy boys' night with some comedians that she really
Yes.
admires, and they start making like transphobic jokes, and she's like, wait a minute, I feel
Yes.
uncomfortable. I don't like this. And she calls them out and like leaves. And she blames Ava, and then Ava's like, it's a good thing, right? You called them out on telling inappropriate and insensitive jokes. So I think that shows how Ava's influence has helped Deborah become more aware of how she impacts people. And then we also saw that happen when she goes, I think, is it Berkeley or Stanford? Like
Yeah,
she
Berkeley.
goes to Berkeley and is going to get an honorary degree. All of her old jokes start trending that were racist and sexist, and people get upset. So she has a bit of a reckoning, and initially is like, oh, I'm going to deny, I'm not going to deal with it. But she ends up dealing with it and has like a town hall to hear everyone out about why a disability joke can hurt someone. And I think it was a really good teaching moment. And I like how this show, it's a comedy, but they still find ways to dig deep and have like meatier subjects.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, comedians, you know, have gotten a lot of fire recently. And I think they did a good job at being self aware because a lot of comedians, like, you can't apologize for jokes, right? And this was what Deborah was saying. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
what we do. We're here to poke fun at people. It's a joke. Don't take it too seriously. And I remember, you know, hearing that a lot, right? Like in the 2010s, you know, from all these different comedians, right? Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Hart, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, etc. Kind of like, what is, can you go too far with a joke? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that they address this well. And it's like, even if it's not your intention to hurt someone, it's like, recognize that your jokes do have impact. So I thought that was, I agree. I think they did a really good job addressing that. I think this season, I feel like, is the first time we really saw like true character development from Deborah. Because
Yes.
the other season, she was, you know, a bad boss, just kind of treating people poorly. You know, now she's kind of on high again, right? She like went on tour last season, like for her show. She was making her stand-up special.
Mm-hmm.
And now after selling her stand-up special like on QVC, she's feeling it again. She's like has the
Mm-hmm.
hottest
Deborah
special
has her
in all of,
back.
yeah, she got her group back this season. So it was nice kind of seeing her getting, you know, kicked down a bit, being like, hey girl, you know, you might be on top of the world, but your jokes, you know, from the past, you know, still have impact. And at Berkeley, you mentioned while she was at Berkeley, I loved how Ava was trying to like be all cool and young. And she was like, hey guys, like, hey peers, what are you guys looking at? And she would like talk to people and being like, yeah, like how old do you think I am? I thought that was funny. And
So
they're all like, I have a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend. And she was like, I wasn't
I know they're
trying
all
to hit on
turning her
you.
down. She's like, no, I'm just trying to like make friends. It felt like me. I was like, wow, am I Ava? I'm like trying to like be cool when I'm around younger people, and it's just not resonating.
I thought that was so funny. What other favorite moments did you have?
I like how you saw DJ, Deborah's daughter, Deborah Jr., have have a moment, because I feel like sometimes she's kind of like the punchline of a joke, and Deborah doesn't really take care of her. So the fact that DJ decides she wants to participate in her mom's roast and actually does well, I was like, wow, I'm glad she's feeling like confident and can be good at something that her mom's really good at. Even though I didn't get all of like what made it so funny, like the crowd was so into it and she kept saying like all these vulgar things, and I'm like, it's not resonating for me, but I'm glad the crowd likes it. I'm glad DJ's having her moment. But I like that she was able to feel that thrill of comedy. And then at the end, she's like, Mom, I know why you were never at home with me. because comedy is addictive. People like are laughing and supporting you. And I think that was a way for them to like have a connecting moment as mother and daughter. And then I also liked that DJ is having a baby at
Yeah.
like a older age. What'd she say? It's
Geriatric
geriatric
pregnancy.
pregnancy.
Yes.
But happy for her. I felt like DJ had some like good moments this season. Whereas in
Yeah.
the past it was just a lot of like kicking someone when they're down.
Yeah, I agree. I think the writers, gave some more redemption to these characters, right? They
Yes.
gave more growth and redemption to Deborah as well as DJ. And right, we saw more of Jimmy, the agent, which was
Yes.
exciting. Yeah, and I love Deborah for the roast. Jimmy was like, we need someone, family member to come and roast you. And she was like, no, you can't do DJ. She's not funny. You can't do her. And she was like, DJ, I'm going to write you some jokes. And DJ was like, you don't believe in me? You don't believe in me? I'm going to do it myself. And Deborah was like, I just don't want DJ to embarrass herself. So, and even though DJ was saying like such horrible things about Deborah was like, yeah, the one laughing the hardest. She was like, yes, my daughter. She was so proud. She was like,
so
yes,
proud.
wow,
They have
my
such
daughter
a weird relationship.
has it.
That was good. And then you mentioned Jimmy. I like seeing more of Jimmy. Like he's so awkward and funny as the agent. And in particular, I liked when Kayla booked them a work meeting over a pickleball match. And she didn't really book it. She just found out the head of the studio would be there and was like, oh, let's accidentally say like, oh, we booked the same court. And I'm like, Kayla is wild, but she knows how to handle Hollywood.
Yes.
She's sneaky. She knows how to wiggle her way into situations. And I thought it was so funny that Jimmy, who's good at tennis, like us, he was like, I guess I'll be good at pickleball. It felt very LA. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to have such an important meeting over a pickleball match.
Classic.
At a country club.
I don't know. I feel like pickleball is not... I think it's easy if you don't know tennis.
Yeah.
Some people argue, oh, if you play tennis, it's super easy. But I don't really like pickleball. I think tennis is like a lot more intuitive.
Yes. No, I agree with you. And we've played pickleball. At least I've only played it once. I think what's hard is with tennis, you're used to actually like swinging and trying to top spin, and
the ball is a lot different.
Yes,
yeah,
the ball is a lot different. Pickleball, because it's a wiffle ball, you can't swing
hit
it
the same way.
Yeah. So that does make it hard.
It's a lot
but
harder.
At least we have the reflexes,
Yes.
Hand-eye
Another moment I loved with Jimmy and Kayla is when Kayla was like, Jimmy, I quit. I can't be your assistant anymore, after they got brunch with her bratty friend who kept on digging at her, and Jimmy was like,
awful.
Like, this girl's not your friend. And Kayla was like, leave me alone. All this stuff. So then Jimmy runs. It's very Ross and Rachel. Runs to the plane that Kayla's on.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he got on the plane, right? Like,
I think he actually bought a ticket. I think he bought a ticket. Classic.
It's like, how did he actually get on the plane? He was like, Kayla, no, you can't. You have to get off. You have to, please be my assistant. Everyone was like, what's happening? This woman was like, oh, so romantic. Proposal, say yes, say yes.
And he's like, no, it's not. We're friends. We're coworkers. We're colleagues.
And then Kayla was like, yes, and they played into it and stuff. So I thought that was a highlight for sure.
Gosh. I like their dynamic, and I think the show plays on unlikely duos with Deborah and Ava, and then Jimmy and Kayla, and they somehow work. Another moment I liked was when Deborah is on her quest, right, to get late night. So she goes to this golf outing with all these big wigs and execs, and is trying to convince them that she'd be the right pick for late night. And she has multiple suitors at this golf outing. And I was just like, yes, Deborah Vance in her 60s, 70s, having, all these men after her. I was here for it. So Deborah in her hot girl moment, I loved.
Hot girl summer.
Hot girl summer with Tony Goldwyn after you, former president of the United States. Fits.
Yes. For Shonda fans. That's
Love that for her.
Yeah, I really like the golf outing. And when she was like, oh, I don't know, I'm struggling. The classic girl being like, I don't know how to do this. Help me. And the old, the guy who runs the Palmetto was like, Deborah knows how to Deborah knows
Yeah.
how
Oh
to
yeah.
golf. Like,
Her like
what?
kind of ex friend. Yeah.
Yes. So I thought
Hilarious.
that was funny. And then once she found out that she wasn't getting late night, that this other man was getting it, she was like, oh, well, I'm going to stop trying to be cute and I'm going to beat up
Yeah.
on all these men. And she did just that.
Loved it
I
for her.
I enjoyed that. Something else I really loved, I loved the Christmas party. Um, that was hilarious. And like we said, Deborah's getting so much character development this season. We saw her reconcile with her sister Kathy, who, quote, stole her husband.
Easy. I think part of it is the fact that DJ, who's having a baby, right, is close to Kathy, which I don't think we had really seen before. And you could see Deborah be like, why are you close with my sister? Was I not a
Right.
mother to you? Like, what's going on? So I felt like she initially felt pressured to do it. But then by the end, it was like, oh, I think it's a good thing to try and have my sister back in my life after all these years. Like, I don't want to live with all that hate.
It was fun to see them reconnect, kind of hash it out.
Yeah.
And also with the Christmas landscape, with the fake
Fake
snow, and when Kathy, the sister, like ate part of the gingerbread house, Deborah lost her mind.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
And it also felt like there was no one at this Christmas. Did you also notice that? There were
Yeah,
like 6 people there.
Was surprised at the turnout. This part was not great for Deborah, how she hired like elves, right? She got
No.
hired like little people to be elves and deliver the invites to her Christmas party, which not great, Deborah, not great.
And Ava's like, Deborah, do you see how this is insensitive? You can't do this.
So she sent a lot of invites, right? She had a lot of, elves ready to go. So I don't know what happened.
And we loved just how Deborah got her second chance at getting the late night gig. She like rallied. She was doing all this press.
Mm-hmm.
She was, she really, really wanted that. This has been her dream. And she talked about how getting late night and being a host was her dream. So it was really cool. At first, right, she was rejected for this younger white guy. And then I love the conspiring Jimmy and Kayla
was a real one this year, an MVP.
Right? So at first we see like Jimmy and Kayla, they go to this like old house and they talk to this man all day and you're like, what? Like, what are they doing? I didn't understand it.
Very
but then
elaborate.
They wrapped it up pretty well. Kayla overheard that the guy they chose for late night really wants to get into drama, serious acting, wants to do this biopic. So then they go to this house and like meet a relative of the biopic, and they like spend all day talking to him. They invite him to Christmas, and they're like, "Oh yeah, come! Like I'll read, your script and stuff." And then he agrees to sell the rights after Kayla and Jimmy. Jayla, that's a cute couple name. After they convince him. Yes. After they convince him to sell the rights, that opens up the late night spot. I at first was like, what are they doing? But they did it. It's an absolute Christmas miracle. But they did it for Deborah, and that what is what allowed them to have Deborah be the late night host. So I loved how that wrapped together.
I also think it was clever how they were talking about how the average age of like who watches late night is so much older. So like, why not have like an older person doing it?
Right,
and I think that's smart. Gen Z aren't watching, late night with Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon.
No.
So you actually probably might really resonate with that demo if you put someone like Deborah there. So I like how they also included like the trends and business component of it as well.
Yes, perfect for Shelby's business mind.
Yes, I like that from the business of entertainment POV.
And Ava, she did this super funny photo shoot because she was like, yeah, I'm a producer on a TV show, kind of like a Last Week Tonight spoof. And everyone was kind of making fun of the show the whole season. But that photo shoot was so funny. She kind of looked like Timothée Chalamet, and the writer and the photographer was like, oh, you're an actor? And she was like, no, I'm a producer, I'm a writer. And they're like, oh, get her the pencil. And they handed her a pencil, and she was like, what? Like, why do I need a pencil? And the photographer was like, oh, this changes everything. She was like, bend over a little bit, put the pencil in your mouth. And she was like, what? Like, I thought that was really funny.
Funny. No, that's a good one. Honestly, so many funny, like, just little Ava moments like that. Like, even when she becomes the, like, golf caddy and has, like, the caddy thing wrong.
Yes.
I feel like so much she did was, like, hilarious. But speaking of Ava, like, one of my favorite moments was the twist at the end. So hopefully you guys have seen the season if you're listening, but, like, spoiler alert, at the end, Deborah gets late night, and so she has to create, a writer's room and hire a head writer. And she tells Ava, like, oh, I can't give you head writer because the studio wants someone from the prior regime, someone who's
Established.
And Ava gets so upset, and Ava sees a head exec just out and about in LA and is like, do you mind if I ask you, like, why are you making Deborah, carry staff from the last show? Like, I would love to, be head writer, and it's, frustrating that I can't. And she was like, oh no, Deborah can hire who she wants. It's up to her. So then Ava's like, why would Deborah not give it to me? She, like, pulled me away from my
And lie.
last week tonight job. She lied, making it seem like she couldn't hire me. So, like, what's going on? So she decides to blackmail Deborah.
Of course.
That's the logical decision. To blackmail Deborah and tell Deborah that I know you slept with Tony Goldwyn, who runs the network, and if people find out that you slept with the head of the network to get this job, it would be over for you. So you have to give me the head writer position.
Oof.
I did not see it coming.
What a twist.
It felt like Ava was finally, like, playing dirty and kind of playing like Deborah. It was like, yikes, she's learning from her boss.
Yikes.
I honestly, though, I liked having her stand up to Deborah because so often she doesn't, and she's like a wallflower. So even though I don't condone blackmail, I was for Ava to have that moment.
It did feel like she was finally standing up to Deborah, right? Because everyone has been telling her mom, her girlfriend, they're like, girl, she does not care about you. Deborah treats you like garbage. She's like, no, Deborah loves me. Like, they have a very toxic relationship. And she kind of lets Deborah walk all over her because Ava had to go back to her producing writer job at the Last Week Tonight spoof. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, I either can go back to that job, and I think she was a head writer, or be the head writer on Deborah's show. And Deborah was like, you be head writer for my show. Like, she promised that to her. And then for Deborah to go back on that promise and be like, oh, you could be on the team, like, go be in the room. And she's like, you made me quit my other really good head writer job. Good that Ava stood up for herself, but I think this can only go bad.
Like, blackmailing Deborah Vance. You think she's gonna take that lightly?
Deborah is way too smart.
Whoa, I think it's gonna backfire.
I wouldn't want to be Deborah's enemy at all.
I think it's gonna backfire.
It's gonna go very bad for Ava. Ava thinks she's being cute and smart, but Deborah is like at least twice her age. Don't play with her.
Deborah is scary. Yeah, I'm worried for Ava now. Let's pray for Ava, everybody.
Right.
She needs all the prayers and thoughts. We had a lot of favorite moments, clearly. You must realize we like the show. But in terms of least favorite moments, Ava leaving her girlfriend Ruby to go back to Deborah after Deborah had been so toxic, after reconciling with Ruby. You guys had issues, but you chose her. Ruby is an actress. She had a gig that would take her to Europe. You were going to go with her and be there together and celebrate. But just because Deborah asked to have you back, you dropped everything, including that relationship, to go back to her.
Oof.
Tough.
Yeah, that was rough. And you have this release her moment, so I have to say, it was one of my highlights of the season. So Ava and Deborah decide to go for a hike, and they get lost in the Nevada woods, I guess. Like, I didn't know.
No, they're in Pennsylvania. Like, they have like a meeting. Woods. Yeah.
Whose idea was this? I think, like,
Ava said she wanted to get some air, and Deborah said, like, oh, like a mall. And Ava was like, no, not a mall. Like, let's go in nature.
Ava takes her to the middle of nowhere, the woods, like no cell service. Like, I don't know why they would
Too
do that.
extreme.
Just two of them. And Deborah, like, twists her ankle, falls down, like, rolls down a hill, and Ava drops her phone. Deborah didn't bring her phone. So they have no way to contact anyone. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to die out here. We're going to have to sleep in the woods. They're like trying to start a fire. And I was like, these women. I'm like, I don't know if I would do that. Only if I was with someone who actually knew what they were doing. But it's like if me and you were like, let's go on a hike in the woods. There's like no trails.
No
It's like
people around.
no people around. We would never
Red
do
flag.
that.
No. There has to be other cars in the parking lot, okay?
Yes.
No.
And you see other people while you're out there walking. They didn't, like, there were no other people there. It was so bizarre.
It was a comedy of errors. The reason why it was a least favorite moment for me is because I'm like, this could have been avoided, y'all. Like, really? Deborah, why do you not bring your phone with you when you're on a hike? Ava, why didn't you actually go on a real path? Like, there was not a real path. You guys are just wandering in the woods.
Not at all.
Like you said, why don't we just go for a walk around the block? Like, there could have been a lot of ways to go get fresh air. It didn't make sense to me. So that's why it was a least favorite moment. But I do think it brought a lot of, like, funny bits.
Yes.
So I hear what you're saying.
It was one of my favorite episodes for sure. And another least favorite moment, we talked about it, just Deborah snaking Ava. For a lot of the season, but of course not giving Ava the head writer job after promising her the head writer job and lying about why she couldn't give it to her. Come on, Deborah. Come on.
I'm like, at this point, Deborah, you obviously trust Ava. You literally had her help you with your comedy special, your roast. Like, you begged her to come back and work for you because you needed her. You fired your other writers. So obviously you value her. Why can't you give her the head job? Like, it's something wrong with Deborah psyche. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's not adding up. On to our categories, Shelby.
Yes.
Who or what did you love to hate from Hacks season 3?
Well, speaking of Ava and Deborah, for me, it's their working relationship. They obviously create good content together, but are, like, so toxic. They hurt other people around them, and they also hurt each other. So it's like one of those toxic, passionate relationships in like Love Island, like Ella and Ty, where they look beautiful together, they have fun together, but when they fight, and they just like butt heads. That's what Ava and Deborah are when they work together. Like, they make a good product, right?
Yeah.
But is it healthy along the way? No.
I mean, they have a love-hate relationship, right? So I totally agree. For hate to hate, I think we both agree, like, the nepotism and selfishness just throughout the season. You know, Kayla's a little nepo baby, right? We do enjoy her, but she's not very qualified or very good at her job. And also, Deborah was just, she improved. Deborah was quite selfish as always.
It's hilarious and funny how they poke fun at it, but like the fact that Kayla's dad, runs an agency, and the fact that Jimmy's dad was an agent and Jimmy's mom is a Days of Our Lives actress, like, it's funny, but it's like that's kind of how it is. Like, it's an outlier when you don't have a family member in the industry.
Definitely. And we did see, like, Deborah bail on a couple things. Like, remember, like, Pride at Palm Springs? Like, everyone was so excited to see Deborah. Yeah, that was sad, too.
I know, and I do feel like that relates to Marcus, who has a bigger role right now in like Deborah Vance Ventures, but I think has taken a bit of a back seat. So you see at the end, like, he's planning to leave working for Deborah and like take a job either with like QVC or someone. And I'm like, honestly, Marcus, you deserve that, because Deborah is like taking you for granted.
Yeah, I mean, Deborah takes pretty much everyone.
Yeah, almost everybody. Yeah, so working for her, to each its own.
Yeah. What do you have for Love to Love?
You mentioned that Kayla's not good at her job, but I do think the growth she had this season, I liked. Like, the fact that she did have the idea to just happen to be the pickleball court and use that as a way to meet with the big execs since they couldn't get on her calendar. I liked how she did come up with the conspiracy plan to go to the relative's house for this potential biopic and convince him to sign the rights to the competing late night host guy. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but when she does have ideas, she can execute. So I do think she's getting better and has like creative solutions to problems. So I loved that. I also loved Deborah being great at golf. We mentioned that already. But I'm like, yeah, this is a woman that can do it all, people. She's a comic and she's a golfer. And then all of the fire guest stars. We mentioned Tony Goldwyn already, Helen Hunt, Carrot Top, Mario Cantone, J. Smith Cameron, Christopher Lloyd, Deirdre Hall, and then Christina Hendricks. It was hilarious. They just had such a good guest list and guest stars and made the show better for me.
And I'll also throw in, I thought DJ was a highlight this season.
Yeah,
like, she had a positive, character growth, like having a baby, gaining confidence at the roast and all that.
Yes.
I think at least a year of sobriety, or like she celebrated like a big sobriety milestone, and Deborah came to AA. So I thought DJ had a good season.
Completely
okay,
agree.
Shelby, are you ready for red flag, green flag, 1, 2, 3?
Game time.
Is it a red flag to pick work over your relationship?
Yes. Here's the thing. Hopefully you're in a relationship where you both have communicated your work responsibilities and know that there might be busy seasons or times where you need to be at the office late or you're going to be out of town for something. Like, I think it's all about communication. But in Ava's case, where she had already told her girlfriend that she would be going on set with her, and because she had a hiatus from the Last Week Tonight job, and then to go back to working for Deborah, who had been so toxic, I think in this case it is a red flag. She didn't like talk to Ruby about it. She just decided to do it, and then she was like, yeah, I'm doing this. So I just think the way Ava handled it was a red flag.
I agree. I think not always. Sometimes, you gotta follow work, and sometimes a relationship is not worth it. But this, for Ava, definitely.
Okay, Laura, question for you. Is it a green flag to return to work for a toxic boss?
It's definitely a red flag, so it is not a green flag. It is very toxic. And plus, right, Ava had a great job. And, right, the show was on a hiatus. So I'll spend the summer with Ruby, and then, actually, wait, I'll go back to Deborah. I know it's enjoyable. She likes writing for Deborah, but it's just not
fulfilling.
Yeah, but it's just not a good relationship. And even if the work is fulfilling, it's just not healthy.
100% aligned.
Yes.
So, overall, how are we thinking about Hacks Season 3? I think I know what you're going to say. Is it a wait or a watch?
Yeah, so definitely a watch. Definitely a watch. Shelby was like, Laura, are you watching Hacks? Like, you gotta make sure you're watching it. I was like, yes, I'm gonna watch it. There's so much to watch these
days. A lot
days.
going on. Yeah.
But she was like, it's good. And then once I started watching it, I was like, yes, there's a reason why I really liked this show. And it was highly anticipated. It's just really, really funny. I think it really hits home for women specifically, right? There aren't that many like woman-led comedies like that. I think it's very self-aware. Like, it pokes fun at like Gen Z millennial culture, but also, it's like industry. Obviously, it's come back for a third season. But I feel like not that many people are watching it. When I say, I'm watching Hacks, people ask what I'm watching all the time. And people are like, what is that? A lot of people don't know what the show is. And I'm like, it's a great show. So I think more people should be watching.
The first 2 seasons came out when I worked at Netflix, and everyone was watching it there. So I don't know. Is it like very much like a Hollywood LA thing? Maybe.
I think so.
But I hope more people watch it, because everyone talks about The Bear, and we like The Bear. We were fans of that. But I think Hacks is just as good. And it's funnier.
I agree. I think Hacks is a true comedy.
Yeah.
Whereas The Bear, that's a dramedy. It's more like Atlanta, right? Like the Donald Glover show.
Yeah.
I think The Bear is a bit more funny than that show, but Hacks is a true comedy. Like, I'm cracking up the whole time. I really enjoy it. I hope that more people are watching it.
I know, this is our pitch. Everyone go watch Hacks. It's a great show.
Okay, Shelby, onto our What to Watch segment. Yes. What are we watching related to Hacks?
Well, Hacks got renewed for season 4. So excited for that.
Drama.
Coming next year.
Ava and Deborah beefing. It's going to be good.
Can't wait. And the 2024 Emmy nominations just came out, and Hacks season 3 got multiple noms. Very exciting. So when the Emmys air in September, we'll have to keep an eye out and see if the show, as well as Jean, Hannah, and Paul, who all got nominated, win. If you are interested in like keeping up with the cast and other things, Hannah Einbinder just had a new comedy special on Max called Everything Must Go. Jean Smart's going to be in a movie on Amazon called 42.6. And Megan Stilter is going to be headlining a series called Too Much on Netflix. The cast is doing big things.
Okay.
Very exciting.
Well, I'll definitely keep an eye out for the Emmys. Hopefully they get some love. I have a feeling that the Bear is probably going to sweep everything, but...
Yep. Broke the record for nominations for a comedy series, so
crazy.
Probably going to do really well.
So I don't know how much love Hacks will get, but I'm excited for that. And if you enjoyed this episode of Sisters Who Watch, please make sure you give us 5 stars. 5 stars wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, wherever. And go follow us on all our social media platforms at Sisters Who Watch. LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, we're there. So go give us a follow. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to our website, sisterswhowatch.com. You can buy our merch there. Go to the shop tab. You can buy all kinds of things that are very, very cute. And we now have listener support, so you can activate that on Spotify. And you can also Zelle us, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com, and support us that way.
We appreciate y'all so much. We want to hear from you, so please leave us comments on social media, on YouTube, on Spotify. They now have a comment feature. And of course, email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com if you have requests. Thank you.
you.
Stay watching.
Bye. Stay watching.